So now the subtle mind is concerned. According Dzogchen, Dzogchen now here ma anu adi Dzogchen bus. Sisada nyuma tenji jebe ribukundu sambusa data di nyamne zonji sungo.
So in the Nyingma tradition, particularly from the Dzogchen perspective, the great perfection perspective, then one speaks of one gives teachings at the level of pertaining to the subtlemost level of consciousness, which is the innate mind of clear light. And there the focus is primarily on introducing the nature of mind at that level and bringing about the realization of that awareness. So one unique So one unique method in the great perfection tradition is based upon drawing distinctions between what the tradition calls basic mind versus primordial awareness or Rigpa awareness. And here the distinction is understood on the basis of those mental states which are more occasional and adventitious and more temporary, and these belong to a basic, they are kind of more of a fluctuating nature. They are characterized as belonging to the basic ordinary state of mind, whereas the Rigpa awareness is characterized as being devoid of that kind of fluctuation. They are ever present, and also they are recognized to be a primordial quality of consciousness. So the distinction is drawn between these two.
Dzogchen le nangsegi Dzogchen semde, Dzogchen longde, and the mangang des, and the mangale chigor, nangor, sangor, and the yangsang lami kwas, sungdoa.
So, and within the Dzogchen teachings, of course, sorry, earlier I forgot that, so the Rigpa awareness that is characterized as being free from fluctuation, ever present and so on, is sometimes also referred to as Samandrabhadra, all goodness, and with no beginning, no end, and atemporal. So within the Dzogchen teachings, again, there are many different levels of teaching or many different classes of teachings. For example, the three primary classes of teachings are known as the cycle of mind teachings, cycle of expanse, and the cycle of instructions. So we see there are many different types of teachings even within the Dzogchen great perfection instructions. So this
예상 개바 루브르에다 치마 제등에다 디 치마 사인도 전에 양상 개바스.
So
퍼싱 슝나리아 시싱 슝나리아 릉신 양대 근데 학자 양대 한명 양대 민의 양대 송도가 그래서 릉신 양대 디 토모번에 릉신 용선 양하는 데바지 차디어 봐. 이네 릉신 용선 양하는 데바도 저들이 이르잖아요. 릉신 용선 양하는 데바도 매나 루브르 지제기 양대 용식 말봐. 뺏드는 시 예상 개발된 매나 양상 개발 용토 말봐.
So this primordial mind, the Rigpa awareness, referred to as characterized as Samandrabhadra, is in fact described as primordial Buddhahood, and this is a primordial quality of Buddhahood that we all possess. And however, this primordial quality of Buddhahood is obscured by adventitious mental factors, which are the afflictions and the various thought processes. And through practice, when this primordial quality of Buddhahood is removed, when all of these advantageous mental qualities, properties, processes are cleansed, then one becomes reawakened or re-enlightened. So the attainment of enlightenment is referred to as the reawakening or attainment of enlightenment. And this is, in a sense, analogous to an idea in the perfection of wisdom teachings, where the nature of one's mind is referred to as the natural nirvana. And the natural nirvana serves as the basis for the possibility of attaining a nirvana with residue and nirvana without residue, which are constituted by elimination of the afflictive forces. So if there is no natural nirvana, then there is simply no possibility of the attainment of the nirvana, actual nirvana. So the idea is similar. So similarly in the Dzogchen perfection teaching, because of the presence of the primordial Buddhahood in us, it allows the possibility to gain this reawakening, attainment of Buddhahood.
다 태고를 먹고 살디 질 담배 남샤라 태고를 먹고 야래서는 송어 좀 뭐임바 강사 지기 냠손 렘베 그도라 태고를 먹고 뒤 차상지 두세냐면 셔봐지 근데 송야지 용기 디샤야 오르샤
So
다 데그르스는 딩시 고미야 디 년두기 태고하세 디샤지 다 되네 딩시 스파스 가소래 딩시 냠네 10차로 담으잖아요 는 때내 양라 주니 룩중도 권에 아니 거주림 도림 그다네 과된샤인 거야래 근데 되게 아니 랑제가 되버지 되네 심지 친루 신학이 냠네 디디 다 신라마시 친루나 투자다 디디 아니 전주스 배태버지 바로도 심배 주 바로도 심배 대배 장성 대배 냠네 디제 다데네 하이 nenzo 고민도 자네 아니 저주기 두제 패배원도 제배이나 아니 다 저주도 세덤니 랑니 다 저도 될래 수 아니 시소 무줄래야 되지기 로나 숨기야래 자다들 인도산에 아니 지야 아니 오버 다 요가 디디 냠린치야 디디 rinpe pa, ta kanda thai nan jo sodu jode ge yare. Dene keba ma yoga, lung anu yoga sizane zalung ge nyamne di le yung yare. Dene zobo chobo adi yoga sizane ene ribo sangde ge ta nyamne di chia di. Sa do sene kansa ji di de samolo ngonju chudu cheni tebore mo gugalo ta nyamne chia ji yodo ga. 그러나 롱진 주도 나리야 단 제리네 다 사브샤요리 넘중에디 셰디 다 롱진 주든기 냠리 서울베다 차송 공부 제윤도 냐라 둔던저 되는 야오리스기 둔던저디 있대 아니 이신저디 있대 애니데네 예수 고수문한 거 심리 예수디 거를 샥자체니 거를 샤부자도 쉬시라 뒤병도 제베이나 되게다 민음 장로 조과죠리 디디 체 엔지니어링 매게 니 택존즈 신인즈 다 디디 니 냠면 간만 지트야 주나 역사요래
So when we speak about 9 yanas or 9 vehicles from the early translation tradition's perspective, it's not a question of simply making a presentation about the general teachings of the Buddha, but in fact there is a tradition where the teachings of all the 9 yanas, 9 vehicles, are made relevant to the progress of an individual who is working on the path. So in this respect, then all the teachings of the 9 vehicles become relevant to the transformation of an individual person, a practitioner. So in this context, then the teachings and the practices of the Four Noble Truths correspond to the teachings of the disciples' vehicle. And then when the teachings of the Four Noble Truths are further elaborated, then the Four Noble Truths, the causal networks between suffering and origin and cessation of the path, when they are further elaborated, then the teachings of the 12 links of dependent origination becomes relevant. And here, both the reversal order and the sequential order of the relationship between the 12 links are explained and then meditated upon. Then the practitioner is essentially implementing the teachings of the Pratyeka Buddha, the self-enlightened ones. And then when the individual moves on to the next stage, then the teachings on generating bodhicitta and the altruistic awakening mind, and based upon that implements the practices of the six perfections, giving a moral discipline and so on, culminating in the cultivation of shamatha, tranquil abiding, and also vipassana, a special insight. Then the practitioner is implementing the teachings of the bodhisattva vehicle. On that basis, then one moves on to the next level, where deity yoga practices are brought into one's daily practice. And then, depending upon the levels of one's experience, the deity yoga practice becomes ever more subtler. And that's how one moves through these next three vehicles. And initially, for some individuals, it is said that the Kriya action tantra meditation may involve visualizing one's meditation deity in the form of a master outside, and then from whom one receives blessings and empowerments and so on. But gradually, as the deity yoga realization becomes more and more profound, one moves on to the next stages. And then finally, one moves on to the Mahayoga and Anuyoga and Adiyoga. Then there, the manipulation of the subtle energies and the channels and the drops, these practices, the more advanced Vajrayana practices, are also brought into the person's path. And then all of these, having established as a kind of a preliminary practice, one then moves on to the Dzogchen, the great perfection, Ati yoga practice, where the focus is really on affecting the realization of the Rigpa, primordial awareness. Therefore, when and this is in fact the approach that is presented in the 7 treasuries of Longchenpa, for example. And in fact, I normally recommend to people who wishes to engage in the great perfection practice to proceed by first study Longchenpa's treasury on the philosophical systems, Drupta Dzu, and then follow that with the treasury of wish-fulfilling jewel, Yishin Dzu, and then on that basis also study Semying also, the mind at ease, which there is a custom of doing the study and practice of this over a period of 145 days. So if each of the meditation cycles so each of these rounds of visualization, practice cycles are correlated to a day or week, and then there is a custom of doing this over an extended period of time in one stretch. That would be beneficial. And then gradually one can move on to the study of the treasury of the Supreme Vehicle, and then the treasury of ultimate expanse. And in this way, the approach would be very systematic. So the point is, it is very important to have an overall understanding of the basic framework of the Buddhist path.
다 템바 지공도 쳐봐이나 템바 용서로 거 차고 타네 아니 냠네 지기나 템바 지센스야 되긴 로단 tum부 좀 뛰어가.
So, of course, there could be an individual circumstances where some individual practitioners may have residual karmic forces, being brought from the previous lives, and then, in a sense, they are connecting with what is, moving on from already a certain stage. In which case, a very specific instruction from an experienced guru or a master may be an appropriate approach. But generally, for most practitioners, it is better to approach from the basis of having an overall understanding of the structure of the Buddhist path, and then engaging in specific practices on that basis.